Hi, everyone. Welcome to Food for Thought Friday. My name is Allie Tomlinson, and I'm the Director of Community of Champions. As most of you know, Community of Champions is an advocacy program that's funded by the Governor's Council on Developmental Disabilities, and we're powered through Friendship Community Care. We have a mission to turn every Arkansan into an advocate for individuals with developmental disabilities. So we strive to educate, inspire, and empower peer advocates, self advocates, and state leaders to really understand the importance behind advocacy and how it brings our communities closer together, really growing our state to its maximum potential. So we know if you don't have strong resources, you cannot be a strong advocate. So that's where we come in. We are going to bring you all the tools that you need to be the advocate that you want to be. And we have just the person that's going to do that today. Her name is Rebecca Zimmerman, and she's from Arkansas Advocates for Children and Families. And she is going to actually help you build your own advocacy plan. And we are excited to introduce her to you today.
Hi,
How are you, Rebecca?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you all for having me. I really appreciate it. I know there's so much happening in our world right now, and I think this is a really great time to be thinking about advocacy and the power of advocacy. And so I really appreciate you having me today.
Oh, it's our pleasure. You know, Community of Champions really stands on the foundation of advocacy takes action. So we're excited for you to help us, build a plan around that foundation. So if you don't care, I would really like to dig in a little bit to your background and really the organization that you work with before we get started with everything that you have to offer us.
Yeah, so I am the Community Engagement Director at Arkansas Advocates. I've been here for about 3 years now, and I work to encourage people all across the state to advocate for children at the state and nation's capital. I'm also right now doing a lot of outreach trying to raise awareness about the importance of the census and how that impacts a lot of important programs that children and families rely on in the state. Arkansas Advocates for Children and Families was founded in the 70s because a group of people who were pretty active at the Capitol didn't see people there advocating for children. And they knew that children needed a voice at the state capitol. So they began advocating on issues of juvenile justice and child welfare. And now they've extended out the issues that we work on to include education, racial equity throughout all of our work, tax and budget issues, because things that we care about need to be paid for, health care, and those are the big ones. And so we have policy experts on staff who do research on the different issues. We also have people like myself who go out in the community and give overviews of our policy issues and teach people how to advocate and try to connect with other advocates and organizations around the state so we can all work together to be a voice for kids in the Capitol.
Definitely. I'm so glad to hear you say that. And I have had the privilege to sit on some of your panels and really go to some of the presentations. And I've never walked away and felt like I didn't learn anything. So you are just such an asset. The organization is an asset to the state. You really help move things along in a positive direction. And when you said, partnering with other organizations, it really is, we are better together. And the more people that we have fighting for positive change, it brings forth what we want. So I'm glad that you're here today. I'm glad that you're going to share the resources and the tools. And I mean, are you ready to get started? Because I know that we have some people that have been excited about this for at least a week. And I know that I'm one.
Okay. Yeah, and to your point, really quick, I mean, that we always say that, the laws that are passed reflect the people who show up. And if people aren't showing up for kids, if people aren't showing up for people with disabilities, the laws are going to reflect that. And so we need to show up.
That's exactly right. And we stand on, that advocacy takes action, but we preach from the rooftops that you have to stay vital. You have to be a vital champion. And for us, that means to vote, include, talk, accept, and use respectful language. But on that first step is voting. But when you register and you vote, you can't be done. And when you're saying show up, there's a lot more to that, to be a champion than just that one ballot, that one placing your vote. We want you to come. We want you to tell the people that represent you how to represent you.
Yeah, and so I I think it's really important to note that everyone listening today has the power to be an advocate. I think a lot of people think of advocates as, really famous celebrities who are posting about the environment or other issues on social media, or really powerful political or social leaders. But really, anyone can be an advocate. And one story I really like to tell is from very recently. So the state's General Assembly, which is the state representatives and state senators, their main session happens in odd years, every other year. So the last big one was in 2019. And that year, a group of kids and parents went to the Capitol to advocate for increased time at recess for elementary school students. Because before the 2019 session, children in public school elementary only got about 18 minutes of recess. And so kids themselves were going to the Capitol and testifying in front of committee meetings of state senators and state representatives, meeting with their legislators and advocating for that bill to extend recess out. Because they were talking from their personal story, how that was impacting their ability to learn throughout school. And they were so effective, they got recess extended to 40 minutes now, more than double. And so I think that just goes to show, anyone can advocate. These kids, they're in elementary school and they took off and went to the Capitol and advocated. And they were talking about this from their personal perspective and how it was impacting them, but they helped kids all around the state. And when you advocate on behalf of yourself, almost always there are other people who are dealing with that same issue, that if you just share your story, it can help so many people.
You're exactly right. All right, I'm ready to get started. I want to know how we can better, grow our advocacy plans. I want to help myself. I want to help someone else that I love and care about. And I want to really grow our community to be the best community that it can be.
Well, I'll start by talking about a few different ways to advocate, and then I'll talk about, putting those methods of advocacy together to create a plan that works for you. And today I'm really going to focus on talking about how you can advocate as an individual, though you can also, of course, make a plan as a group. And I think Ali shared beforehand, we have Arkansas Advocates for Children and Families created a advocacy guidebook. And at the end of that, we have a really detailed outline to create a plan of advocacy as a group or as a nonprofit organization. So if you are wanting to advocate with a larger network, I'd recommend looking at that. And in that workbook too, we go through about 10 different ways, or do talk about 10 different ways to advocate. I'm not going to go through all those today. I'm going to talk about 3 in particular, but I'd recommend going and looking at that too, because everyone can be an advocate, we can all advocate in our own way. And one method that works best for one person may not be the best method for another person. And so take these ideas that work for you, and if they don't work with you, for you, try something else. Do another type of advocacy, and there may be ways to advocate that I don't even talk about here or in the book. So the sky's the limit. Be creative. Think about what works for you and what will move your issue forward. But when you are advocating, the very first thing that you need to decide is what that issue is that you're going to be advocating on. What is it that you care about? What is the problem that you want to solve, and how are you going to solve it? And you really need to start there. So for those children, the problem was they weren't able to concentrate in school because they didn't have enough playtime for recess. And so for them, the solution would be to pass a law that increased recess to 40 minutes. And so think about that. What's that problem you want to solve, and what's a law that would solve that problem? So think about that from the beginning, and then everything else falls in from there. But it's important to be as specific as possible when you are thinking about that, because you can be really passionate about education, but there's so many ways to help with education and to approach education and different laws that you can pass around education. And so you need to get as specific as possible, so you can figure out some solution that will move things forward. If you make it too big, it will be a bit hard to figure out ways to solve any one problem. So I want to start by talking about, I think, the type of advocacy that people think of most when they think of trying to get a law passed, and that's legislative advocacy. So that's educating and lobbying elected officials about your issue and asking them to pass a specific piece of legislation about your issue. And legislative advocacy is like any type of advocacy or fundraising or anything else. Is about relationships. And it's important to create relationships with legislators so they know you and they see you as a resource, and they'll want to work with you. Because when the General Assembly starts meeting in 2021, they're going to be so busy. They're going to be reviewing thousands of bills. They're going to have committee meetings. They're going to be voting in their chambers. They're going to be having discussions, sometimes heated discussions with their colleagues. They'll be hearing from lobbyists. They'll be getting a ton of emails and phone calls that they themselves respond to from their constituents. They'll be getting questions from journalists. They'll be having events and balls and things like that they have to go to. And it's also important to know that in Arkansas, our legislators are not full-time legislators. This is their part-time job. They have another full-time job. They have families. They have other responsibilities at church or whatever. And so once the session meets, all of that collides at once. And it's hard to build relationships with anyone during that time. So if there's an issue that you want to advocate on and try to get a bill passed for during the General Assembly, now's the time to start talking with your legislators and building those connections. And the best place to start having those conversations is with your own state senator and your own state representative. And so the Arkansas General Assembly's website, you can go on there and type in your address and see who your local legislators are and see their contact information and reach out to them and ask them if you can meet with them. Right now, it's kind of a crazy time where we can't meet in person like we would want to. But you can still have, video conference meetings like this. You can still have a phone call. You could write them a lengthy letter, but ask them if they'd be willing to meet with you. Say, hi, I'm Representative so-and-so. My name's Susie, and I'm a constituent in your district, and I really care about XYZ issue, and I'm personally impacted by it, and I'd like to talk to you more about that issue and ways that we can solve it at the state level. And very likely they'll say yes, that they'll want to meet with you. And when you do meet with them, it's a great time to share your story, why you personally care about the issue. Maybe you're directly impacted, maybe something you care about is directly impacted, or maybe you just, learned about it online and got connected to a story that you saw there, and that's why you're impacted by that issue. But share that emotional connection. But you also want to talk to them about the facts. If you can share, key data points and research about your issue, that's also really helpful. So that way you create that emotional connection, but also making sure that they know that this, they have the data to back up that this is important. And when you do give them data, I'd recommend making it no more than a page, because again, they have a lot going on. And if you give them a 20-page research paper about a certain topic, they'll even though I'm sure they'd love to read it, they probably won't, just because of time. So make it as simple as possible. Pull out those key points that you want to talk to them about. And then if you know what solution that you want to have, what piece of legislation, what bill you'd like to become law, talk to them about that too. And, ask them at the end, I hope you consider sponsoring a piece of legislation that would do that. And I'd love, think about it, but I'd love to talk to you more about that. Follow up with them with a thank you email and to tell them I really appreciate meeting with you. Share, some more resources, websites, or whatever about your issue, and then, say I'll be reaching out to you again in a few weeks to see if you've had time to think about sponsoring that bill. And if they say no, that's okay. There's still lots of other legislators available. And so the next step I recommend after your own personal legislators that represent your district is to go back on the General Assembly's website. They have a section where you can search bills that have been filed in the past, and you can search by topic. So you can search terms like Medicaid or, the state's pre-K programs called Arkansas Better Chance. You can search Arkansas Better Chance and see whatever the issue that you want to advocate on, which legislators have sponsored similar legislation in the past. So if they've sponsored a bill on that topic in the past, it's very possible that they care about that issue, unless they got their arm twisted and decided to sponsor a bill it's probably because they care about that issue. And so if you have another idea about how to improve that issue, they'll want to talk to you. And so have the same approach as with your opening with your local legislators, but just say, and I saw that you've sponsored bills on this in the past, and so I'd love to talk to you. And in the advocacy guidebook we have, I won't go over it, but we include the process of how a bill becomes law. It's not as exciting as Schoolhouse Rock, but it does go the process of how to get legislation passed at the state level, at the basic level. Any questions about that before I move on to the next one? Okay. The next one I want to talk about is social media advocacy. And so social media advocacy is probably the most popular type of advocacy we have right now, but it also can be the most challenging type of advocacy. It's useful in that there's so many people on social media, and that's really a great way to connect with people. You can connect with people outside of your network that you haven't even talked with before or met, that maybe live in other parts of the state who also care about your issue. But at the same time, and I think especially now that we're all mostly staying at home, we're on social media a lot. We're reading lots of social media messages. We are being inundated. And I know for me, and I think for a lot of you, I block out a lot of those messages. I just scroll straight through. I don't absorb any of that information. And so that's another challenge. With all this noise on social media, how are you going to make your message stand out? And so a good way to start doing that is by looking at social media pages and feeds of people and organizations who have posted messages that have caught your attention, that you've responded to. Maybe you gave a donation or attended an event because you saw this, or maybe you had a conversation with a person because of the post that they made to learn more about a specific issue. So look at what about those messages resonated with you, made you stop scrolling through and actually read it, actually watch that video, actually engage with people on that thread, and see what you can adopt in your social media messaging that will also get people's attention and get them engaged on that issue. And to that end too, to keep people's attention, it's important to mix up your social media messages. So obviously, if you're advocating on an issue, especially if it's an issue that not a lot of people, the general public, knows about, you want to educate people on it. You want to share articles about it, and research and news stories and things like that, so they can learn about what you're talking about and why it's important. You also want to create emotional connection with people, because you have to get the head and the heart. So for getting the heart, trying to share stories of yourself or others about how this issue's impacted them. You also want to have options for people to take action. You just don't want to like tell them all things are really bad or this problem's really big and then not give them any way to help. And that's the whole point anyway, because you want them to help you advocate on this issue. So figure out ways to do that. Maybe you want to invite them to an event, probably digital right now, but I don't know, maybe a social distance picnic when you're talking about this issue. Maybe you want them to write a letter to their Congress person or state legislator. Maybe you want them to sign a petition, or maybe you want them to donate so you can, print off flyers or letters to send all over the state. So give them a way that they can help to just, don't go, the sky's falling and there's no way to help. Give them a way to help. And then I think another really important social media method is to give people updates. So you also want to show them that you're making progress towards your goal of trying to get a bill passed. So maybe you met with a legislator and you can take a picture with that legislator and said, hey, I met with legislator so-and-so and we talked about this issue and he said he's really passionate about it and I told him about all of y'all's work and he thought that was great. Or maybe you did ask people to write letters and say, follow up with them afterwards. Just don't send them letters. Say, hey, thank you to everyone. We sent over 100 letters to 30 different state senators, and that's almost all. That would be great if you sent 100 letters to 30 of the state senators and say, that it really made an impact with them and they're starting to really consider, doing something about this issue. So mix all those together and that keeps people engaged. If you do only just one of any of those, people are going to tune out because they'll be used to seeing those messages. And if some things aren't working, if you notice that people aren't liking your post or engaging with your post, people aren't, making comments or sharing with them, try to figure out how you can fix the plan that you've created and the way that you're posting on social media to make people want to engage more. Don't keep doing something if it's not working. Any questions about that? Okay. And so another one that I want to talk about today, and we're seeing so much of right now, is grassroots advocacy. And so their grassroots advocacy is just a group of citizens, a group of people all getting together to advocate on the same cause and achieve the same goal. And that could be done in a million different ways. And so I said the sky's the limit before. The sky's the limit just with this bucket. Grassroots advocacy could be so many things. And so one type of grassroots advocacy that we're seeing a lot of right now is with the Black Lives Matter movement and their marches and protests. And they started in one town and they came up in other towns and then all across the country and then all across the world. And those have just been happening for a few weeks, but it's already resulted in policy changes because seeing a big group of people all together saying, as one voice, that this is a problem, we need to do something about this, and here are some ways to do it. That's really powerful. And so you could already see, policy changes from that type of grassroots advocacy that the Black Lives Matter movement's doing. Another one that's, can be much easier is petitions or letter writing campaigns, especially digital ones, can be really easy to set up and really low cost. There's a lot of free online services that you can use to start a petition or ask people to write letters. One free one that we use is Action Network. And you can just create like a petition or a letter writing campaign and share that out. And it's free. The only time it costs money is if you want to email through that system, then it costs money. But if you just want to direct people to the page, it's free, but there are a lot of others. And that can be a really great way to especially connect with people outside of your network, to ask them to write letters. You can also do in-person letter writing campaigns. You can have people all, in a different time gather together and all write letters. Or maybe you could have a digital letter writing party where all your friends get together and you all write legislators at the same time and talk and catch up too. um, I heard one group recently talking about, in another state, about doing a testimony party. So you can provide written testimony to committees at the General Assembly and other state legislatures. And this other state group, they got people to write testimony all together as a group for people who couldn't get to the state capitol, because our state capital, depending upon where you live, can be 3 or 4 hours away, and it's not really accessible to everyone. So that was a way to get people engaged, even if they couldn't be physically at the Capitol. Another really wonderful way to use grassroots advocacy is through art. And so I used to work for Audubon, Arkansas, and they're part of this project called Drain Smart in Little Rock, but I know they have Drain Smart in other parts of the state too, where they have an art competition where they get local artists to paint murals on storm drains off the sidewalk to raise awareness of the fact that those storm drains drain not into some magical cleaning machine, but into our rivers and streams. So they'll paint these beautiful murals of wildlife and things, and then it will say on there, this storm drain drains into the Arkansas River or into Fush Creek or whatever, to raise awareness and get people not to pollute around there, because it doesn't go magically in a machine. And I've also seen, people take photographs of people impacted by a specific issue and do a art show where they'll hang up those photographs of people. They'll have advocates and themselves come there, and they'll talk about their issue and answer questions and things like that, and engage with people that way. Because different people connect with issues in different ways. We're not all the same. What makes me want to take action is not the same as what make you take action, Allie, or other people on the call. We all respond to different things in different ways, and we connect better with different types of advocacy. And so think about that too. You don't have to go totally traditional. You can do other things like use art to advocate on a thing that you on a bill you want to achieve or a law you want to make happen. So, and then, like I said, those are 3. We have 7 others in our book, but I'm sure there are other types of advocacy that aren't in that workbook that I haven't included, but they're still possible to figure out what works best for you and what strategies you want to try.
I love everything that you've been giving to everyone. I think that it's very useful information. We have shared that workbook on our Facebook page, and we have uploaded it here in the comment section. So they will be able to dive into that when they want to expand on what you've given them today. So, what do you think is going to be the best for them to actually start out with when they are new to the journey? Like you said earlier, I didn't want to interrupt you because I know that so many people are just probably processing everything, and if they're like me, taking notes. But we go out and we tell people we need a change, and we ignite this fire in them, and so often we leave them to find how to make that change on their own, and that's so overwhelming. Do you think the best place for them to actually start is going to that social media, especially right now where the world is, and since we can't go out, and just start researching those pages of those like-minded people and seeing how they can actually learn more about their cause, and how to actually put that out into the world for themselves?
Well, I think after you have thought through what's this specific problem I want to solve and what law would I, or law in general. You might be flexible, you might change your mind, find out there's a better law, but in general, figure those two things out. I would recommend thinking through what resources you have available for yourself to advocate, and that will kind of help you think through the different methods of advocacy that work best for you. And so I think the most important thing to start off with is figuring out how much time you have to dedicate to this. Because I think especially if we're new to an issue, we can get really passionate in
Don't
it.
we, Joe? We do.
Want to go head first into it, and we can quickly get burnt out and get overwhelmed. And so I think to start off with, you should have an honest conversation with yourself about how much time can you dedicate to this. And it's okay if you have a limited amount of time to advocate on something. No matter how much time you have, there's something you could do. But think about that, because we all have other responsibilities. We have work, we have our families, we may be on a sports league that's not happening now, or we may have other volunteer responsibilities. And so just be honest with yourself how much time you can dedicate to this, because the worst thing you can do is get really passionate about something, get burnt out fast, and then just be done with it because it was just too overwhelming. So think about how much time you have, and think about other resources you have, like your network. So maybe you are connected with organizations like Community of Champions, who's doing work that you can connect with. You don't feel like you have to figure everything out on your own. You care about this issue. Community of Champions cares about this issue too and works on it. And you can connect with them and figure out within this organization what they're doing and how they're working on this issue. How can I connect with them? And that can take a lot of pressure off too, and still make sure that you're advocating the most effective way for you as possible. Think about how much money you have too. So maybe like in your mind, you're driving to the Capitol every day and then taking off work to go talk to legislators, but maybe that's not really feasible. Or maybe you want to have a big event where you invite a bunch of people to talk about this and raise awareness about this. Do you have enough funds to buy food and things like that? If you don't have enough money, that's more flexible than your time. You have a set amount of time, but you could possibly ask for donations for other things that cost money. But think about that too. And then I think about your knowledge and your experience. Don't go on social media and start advocating there if you hate social media, or maybe you haven't used social media before and you need to start using social media and get your feet wet, and you can start posting about your issue, but you don't have to go full on into social media advocacy. You can start and try to figure things out. Or maybe, you're a really good at, maybe at art, and maybe you're a photographer or whatever. And the best way you are able to communicate with people is through your art. And so think about what you bring to the table, and then start looking at the different methods.
So I love that every person's advocacy plan can be molded to who they are as a person. And that's really beautiful. I think a lot of times when you jump into advocacy, you feel almost, number one, you're overwhelmed, like you said. Number two, you're getting passionate about what you see and the change that you want to make. But also, it can be very competitive, or you can feel like it's very competitive because you see other people that are so far ahead of you in the change that you want to make now, but they have been doing this for so long. And it doesn't have to be like that. And you don't have to be running at the same speed someone else is, as long as you're doing what you can do.
Yeah, this is my job. This is my full-time job. This is your job, Allie. And so we're able to dedicate a lot of time to it. And you may see people that you do think are, going all into that. But that's because I'm fortunate enough to be able to do that. But not everyone is able to, and that's okay. You could even just sign up for action alerts like we have at Arkansas Advocates for Children and Families. We send out action alerts about pressing legislation impacting kids, and you can just fill out that alert, and then move on your day. And even that makes a difference, and that just takes a few minutes. And so don't put too much pressure on yourself. Do the best that you can with the resources that you have, and be okay with that, because we all can approach advocacy in different ways. We all have a role to play, and we all don't have to be like, full on in 24/7. This is what we do. We have a lot of people have other responsibilities.
I think that's great, and I think that's the type of information that everyone can use. Everyone can take that to heart, and that's something that we can use throughout our journey from beginning to end. Does anyone have any questions for Rebecca about an advocacy plan? I know that you do have information for group advocacy, or even just your personal advocacy journey, getting started, or where you are now. We've got some individuals that are here. Michael Thornton has said that he loves the nice plain language that is shown in the handbook. So he has already been looking over that. So that's very accessible to all people. That's very handy to have. That way you're not excluding anyone. So individuals are really loving that, Rebecca. So there's a lot of people that are looking over this stuff and they're really enjoying it.
I will say, while we're waiting for maybe some questions, if you're advocating as part of a group or a network, if you're advocating with a group of friends, or if you're working with a nonprofit and you're advocating with other nonprofits, when you're creating your advocacy plan, it's really important that you create that plan together. Because for a variety of reasons, but I think the most important one is ownership. If you write the plan and then go to your partners and say, here's the plan, let's all advocate together. They may care about the issue and do some work on it, but they're not going to feel ownership of it. It's your plan. But if you create a plan together where everyone's engaged, everyone's adding how they can be involved and what they can contribute, then you'll have a much more effective and powerful plan. And during that process, you also, you may agree on the issue that you want to solve, but you all need to agree on the way you're going to solve it. Because the last thing you want to do is be having meetings for months about advocating on this issue. Have your first meeting together with the legislator, and one person say, yes, and so we'd really like you to do X. And then the person next to you go, actually, I really would think that Y would be better. So you want to think about that solution all as one.
Definitely. That can really sink a ship very fast if you're not all in it together. And that's a lot of hard work down the drain, and no one wants that. I think that's very vital information. I don't think that we have any questions, but I'm very glad that you stopped in today and gave everyone all of this information. We're going to keep this video up. We're going to keep all the tools that you sent out and that we can post from your website, from your organization's website. I think this is vital information. Like we said earlier, a lot of people get passionate about this, and then we leave them to figure out what they need to do with their passion. And that's overwhelming, and that's not what we want. Like you said earlier, we don't want anyone to get burnt out too quickly. We want them to be in it for the long run.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more to staying vital than just voting. If we were in a game of baseball, it's like voting would get us to first base, but that advocacy plan might bring us all the way home because we want policy change. And we know that championing for each other could bring forth that positive change that we want to see.
Yes, I mean, there's so much to do besides just voting, but that is a really critical step as well. I mean, there's so many ways to engage with and be a citizen, and one way we didn't talk about that, if I can give a quick plug, is taking a census. The 2020 census is happening right now. We only do a census every 10 years, and this census data is used to determine how many federal dollars comes to our state for a lot of different important programs around healthcare, education, roads and bridges, hunger assistance programs. It decides how many representatives we send to Congress and how our voting districts are redrawn. And so it's really important that everyone complete the census. And for Arkansas advocates, we want to make sure that everyone knows to include their kids. A lot of children get left out of the census because people people don't know to include them. But a lot of things like programs at school and hunger programs impact children. And if they're left out, they're not going to count for the next 10 years. And so we need to make sure that we have accurate count of every household, everyone living there, whether you're related or not. If they're staying there, they need to be counted.
Can you give us a brief overview of how to fill out that census information?
Yes, and you can go to 2020census.gov and complete the census online. This is the first time that people have been able to do the census online. There's also a phone number I can't remember off the top of my head that I can send to you to share, and they have the phone option in multiple languages, online in multiple languages. People also, if you haven't completed the census yet, should have been mailed a paper form. Though if you use a PO box, it can be a bit more tricky. And then in August, the Census Bureau is supposed to start doing their door knocking. So they'll have a census worker come to your door and help you fill out the census if you haven't completed it one of the other ways.
Now, is there any type of work that they need to do to prep them for the census, or can they just get online and fill it out?
Remember everyone's birthday, but
Okay.
yeah, you should be able to get online and fill everything out. Yeah, it's a pretty basic form to complete, and it's again really critical. Your information is totally confidential. It's illegal for the Census Bureau to share information, not only with individuals but other departments. So the only time your census information will be released is in about like 70 years. So for genealogy purposes. So whatever the ancestry.com is in 70 years, that is when your census information will be released.
Wonderful. So the only thing that we need to do is have just some personal information and take some time and fill that census out so we can make sure that we can claim the money and all the things that are going to make our state better for us to be able to live in it.
It takes no more than 10 minutes to fill out the census.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that information with us and just giving us a little bit of background on it and why it's important.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you. And we will be putting this on our Facebook page and our YouTube page, and we're going to be keeping it. So we'll make sure that we have this available for anyone that needs to use it. We appreciate you for being here.
Thank y'all. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. I also want to thank all of you that came today, that stopped by, and that are taking these tools, and you're going to find a way to use them in your daily life. And I said you are because I know that you are. You're going to use them. But I also want to take a minute and I want to tell you that if you're lonely right now, or if you're confused, or if you're angry, or if you're feeling sad, any of the emotions that you might be having, that you can click the message button at the top of our page, or you can join one of our private support groups. And we're going to be here for you. That's what Community of Champions is for. Advocating for our peers or for ourselves, supporting each other is a part of that. And that's what Community of Champions is all about. There's a lot going on in our world right now. We have a pandemic. Some of us have been quarantined for over 90 days. And we're in the largest civil rights movement that's ever been in the history of our world. So we want to be able to be there for you and support you and check on your mental health. And if any of our champions feel like the world doesn't love you right now, we want you to know that we're loving you just a little bit extra. We support you, we love you, and we're doing everything that we can to build one community for us all. We hope that you will tune in next week for Food for Thought Friday, and we'll have some good information for you to build you up into the strongest advocate that you can be. We'll see you next time. Have a good day.